Sometimes you will see this message. There is more than one reason you could be getting this message. First and most simply is that you could have pulled down on the draw handle for too long. If the switch is activated for too long, you will get this message. If you are cleaning the machine, I would recommend turning off the switch by pressing the black button on the switch box. You could also try resetting the switch by pulling down on the handle and pushing it back up to the off position. This would just re-engage and disengage the switch. Secondly, you may need to replace the battery in the switch box. Inside the switch box is a small CR2 lithium battery. If you haven't held down the handle for too long, try replacing this battery. Just remove the 4 small screws in the corners of the box, take out the existing battery and replace with a new one. Lastly, you may be receiving interference with the wireless RF signal. As an alternative, you can use a wire to connect to the touch panel. Just use the wire supplied, connect one end to the switch and the other to one of the ports on the touch panel. The first port on the left is the switch 2 port, and the second is the switch 1 port. Whichever port you choose, make sure it is selected in the equipment setup wizard. If you want to continue to connect wirelessly, you can change to a different frequency by changing the dip switch settings on the transmitter and receiver. There's a dip switch in both the wireless RF box and the color touch panel. The transmitter is located in the wireless RF box and the receiver is located in the touch panel. On the last step of the equipment setup wizard, there are 2 different wireless switch options as you can see here. Each option has 3 different frequency settings. Make sure the frequency you choose matches the correct wireless switch setting in the color touch panel. I will post a link below showing the different frequency settings. For example, let's change to frequency 3. Frequency 3 works with the wireless switch 1 setting in the equipment setup wizard, so we will make sure wireless switch 1 is selected. Let's open the wireless switch box first and take a look at the transmitter. Remove the 4 small screws in the corners of the switch box. Gently pull off the back of the box and while holding the chip, remove the screw in the middle, being careful not to lose the small black spacer on the screw. Be careful not to tug, twist, or pull any of the wires in the box as they can separate from their connections. After you remove the panel from the chip, you can now locate the dip switch. All 4 settings are numbered and should be in the on position. With a small tool, switch the number 3 setting to off. Screw the panel back on the chip with the screw and spacer. Place the panel back on and screw in the 4 other screws. Next, we need to change the receiver in the touch panel. Remove the 2 screws in the back of the touch panel and 7 screws around the sides. The back panel is connected to an internal antenna with an antenna wire. Be very careful when flipping the back panel over or you may pull the antenna wire from the internal antenna. Locate the dip switch. With a small screwdriver or other tool, slide the number 3 setting to the off position. Screw the housing back to the touch panel. You have now successfully changed the frequency to frequency 3. I would now recommend rebooting your touch panel and trying out the new changes. Another reason to change the frequency would be if you wanted to have 2 machines connected wirelessly to the touch panel. You could have one switch box set to frequency 1 and the second switch box set to frequency 2. You would have to change the dip switch in the second switch box, but the setting in the touch panel would be the same for both frequencies. You would also want to make sure in the equipment setup wizard that the machine on frequency 2 is set to wireless switch 2.